Well, hello and welcome again to the Throttle Stop. We're another installment of one of the fine cars that is here on display. This week, we're looking at this beautiful 1994 Caprice wagon and the builder of the car, Chris Taylor. Chris, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And let's just get started right away. Tell us a little bit, first of all, about the car.
It's a 94 Caprice wagon, maroon. It's supposed to have an SS package. So it's got Impala SS wheels, I believe the bumper, front and rear bumpers, the hood, I believe. The car was actually purchased by the owner in this state. It looked exactly like this when he got it.
Well, how long of a project was it for you to get it from this state back to this state, but with the
new transplant?
Yeah.
It took like 2 years, but honestly, in man hours, I would say I probably have about 8 months to a year in the build. And a lot of that's parts waiting and, you know, custom fabrication and whatnot.
And do you do all the work yourself?
Yeah, I can, and I do.
So, Chris, when I go to the store and I see one of these parked in the car park, I don't go, ooh, there's a car I must have. Why must we have this one?
This one's a little different than your average Impala, or Caprice rather. It has an SB4 built by Mercury Racing. It's a 7-liter based on an LS platform. They used their 9-liter heads and basically shrunk it down, made it fit, and made 750 horse out of it.
Are there many of these in existence?
I believe there's one, and we're standing in front of it.
This is it, the only one. Now, Mercury, is that the same Mercury that's in Fond du Lac?
Absolutely, yeah. It's Mercury Racing, Mercury Boats. It's their racing division. They actually have a crate engine division. They're trying to, a few years back, they're trying to get their hands on, the crate engine market. This particular engine is a 7-liter LS platform with their 9-liter heads.
So when some people refer to this as a boat, it really is
a boat. It really is a boat,
yeah,
absolutely.
So can we ski behind it?
I mean, we can fab something up. We can make it happen for sure.
You could, yes. So, Chris, you've done all sorts of other projects. Why this?
Well, one, I thought it was a very intriguing project. It's something that, most people will never get to do in their lifetime. The honest answer is that the Throttle Stop has been a huge supporter of everything I've done. They've never, try and throttle me back, no pun intended, on any work that I've done. And honestly, I love these guys, and they've done everything for me. And when one of the owners showed up to me and he said, hey man, I want to do this project, it was a no-brainer. I said, absolutely, and then thought about the rest later. The motor was bought, basically is just a crate engine. All the electronics, for the most part, we mated this with an automatic transmission, which kind of brought up some other question marks because we're probably one of 3, maybe, a handful of people at most, to put an automatic trans behind the Mercury SB4. This motor, the challenges we had fitting this motor in the chassis was that, this is a ginormous motor compared to the factory one. I really had to do a lot of modifications as far as the subframe and building the custom headers and all that stuff. It's a very tight squeeze. Everything's within centimeters. So.
What about the transmission too? Because you said it was originally a manual, and you've converted it to a automatic.
No, this car actually came automatic.
Automatic.
It came automatic, but the SB4, most people mate them with the manual transmission.
Oh, right, okay.
So, and in this case, we ended up going with the built 4L80.
And how tough was that?
The motor has the mating pattern of a 4L80. So mating them together, no big deal. As far as the electronics and all that stuff, it was all aftermarket. We used a company called TCM, I believe. They're 2800, and it's an automatic transmission controller. I had to fully integrate it with all the electronics to do with Mercury's, motor.
You're right.
Which is a little tough. Because it's automatic, we ended up having to have Mercury, the guys at Mercury, actually come down and dyno tune it for us.
Now, did the guys at Mercury have to approve of the whole project?
I think once you buy something, it's yours.
Really?
So in this case, no.
Because there are some manufacturers that they won't let you touch anything.
Absolutely, yeah. I think Mercury's thought behind building the crate engine series is that they just want to see people do cool stuff.
Now, with the changes, What about the weight? Is that added weight, the reduced weight?
Yeah, overall, it added about 200 pounds. The motor's about 200 pounds heavier or so than the standard motor that comes in this.
And does that have much effect on performance?
In this case, it does not. We have the motor as far back as possible, so that weight distribution is better. And the suspension is gassed, it's valved for the extra 200 pounds. We did all those calculations and all that stuff as we're building it, before we even ordered anything.
Are the wipers intermittent?
I couldn't tell you.
I knew I'd catch them out.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. Mercury did a great job. They used the bell housing of a 4L80E, so it literally just bolted straight up. A lot of the aftermarket parts you could just buy, flywheel, converter, etc. The difficult part to this build, was the electronics. We had to use an aftermarket controller, and to integrate that controller to work with the Mercury Racing components was a little tough.
Just stick with what you've got right there.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then is that how you do the whole car? You do start at the front, work your way back?
That was it, yeah. Once we got the car at our shop, we basically pulled it in, started stripping it, started kind of taking note with what we have and what we need to do. Took a few measurements, and then from there, the focus was to take as minimal as possible to make this thing work, so that we didn't take anything away from the factory of it. And we basically kept pulling. I must have done it 20 times, taking the motor in, putting it out, or pulling it out, putting it in, pulling it out, putting it in, and just notching away at that frame rail and just getting the cross member straight, getting the frame where it needed to be. And finally, once it fit, we fabbed up some mounts, installed the transmission bracket, which actually you can buy aftermarket.
Right, okay.
And
what about balancing the whole thing out? That can't be easy either.
So with something like this, the goal is to get it as far back past the front wheels as possible, right? In this particular case, based on the parameters of the customer, we could only do so much. So we got it as close to the firewall as humanly possible, and the rest just kind of fell in place. And then we just focused and moved on, fixed, moved on, This particular car, we actually got the AC to work, heat works, everything works in it. It's literally like your family grocery getter with 750 horse.
So the engine being a Mercury SB4 small block 4, tell us some of the characteristics that you experienced with this engine.
It's actually a 7-liter quad cam, so it's got 4 cams based on the LS block. It revs out to about 8,500 opposed to the 6,500-ish that you would get in a standard LS motor.
What's the perfect band to be in, RPM band?
You want to be about 82.
About 8,200, yeah.
About 82, 85, yeah, is the sweet spot. It feels great. It really comes alive at that RPM. When you're full throttle and you're driving down the road, maybe getting out of the grocery store as you stated before, this thing really lights up. I mean, it handles so well.
Can you lay rubber down with it?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, this thing does not give up. It just keeps going all the way to 85. And it feels like a train. It honestly feels like a freight train. It's great. It's a lot of fun.
Well, Chris Taylor, thank you very much for showing us around your build. Did you do it all yourself or do you have some help?
No one can do anything all themselves. Actually, that's a great point. I would like to take a minute and thank the multiple people that have helped me. My buddy Jason Henry would have never gotten it done without him. He helped me tremendously with this build. Multiple vendors have helped me. ATD, automatic transmission design, they did the transmission. Power Master helped me with the alternator starter. They were great. We actually visited their facility and they were tremendous people.
What's your next project?
I was thinking about going to Hawaii and just taking a break.
Yeah, building surfboards.
Yeah, just building surfboards.
It's a lot easier. Yeah. I'll come and help you do that.
Absolutely.
I'll do the waxing.
Come on down.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Chris Taylor, for demonstrating this vehicle and all your other products you have here at Throttle Stop. Thanks for being with us.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me again. It's been a pleasure.
For any more information, feel free to go to throttlestop.com and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and of course, YouTube.